Calling this meeting to order from President April. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is called pursuant to provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of June 9, 2025 was included in our list of meetings notice sent to the Courier News on January 6, 2025. Posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on that date, and has remained continuously posted as required. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. Roll call, please, Carla.
Councilman Arias.
Here.
And Councilwoman Engelhardt. Here. Councilwoman Pissarro.
Yes.
Councilman Levitt.
Here.
Council Vice President Long.
Here.
Council President Parker.
Here.
Mayor Karen.
Here,
Sorry.
we don't have any cold presentations tonight. Regarding theirs, but I only have. Wait a second, or let's go. I have one thing, which is the planning board did review the shade tree ordinance that is on public hearing tonight. For consistency, and they did find it was consistent. I don't remember seeing a letter from the planning board stating so. Come in, we didn't get one, right?
Get one.
But
Yeah.
it was approved, so
Yeah, it
I don't
was
see a
approved.
reason why you can't move
Yeah.
forward, right, Chris? Even though they didn't send, the planning board didn't send in a formal letter saying the shade tree ordinance changes were consistent with the master plan. We can, they voted for it,
Then yes,
it's unanimous,
as long as we know, yes.
yes, so I was there.
We're
Right,
there.
Yes.
Unfortunately. You do a job.
and that's, I think that may be the only thing I wanted to report on. So if anything else goes from my councilman reports, Councilman Rice.
Yes, hello. So I do have a couple things I have to mention. So two things I want to address in tonight's meeting. As you all may know, tensions are high in the US and they're growing more every day. Today, we have confirmed sighting of ICE individuals that were taken. I'm pretty sure everybody else are probably gonna talk about that as well. There's one individual confirmed in Newark that I know of, but no name was given to protect the family and anyone involved. I'm here to publicly say I'm proud to come from a hardworking immigrant family, and I will stand with each and every one of you. This will not be the last time they come, and this is the only start of it. I just want to state that it's a very dangerous time right now. We don't know what's going to happen with everything that's going on. I just want to let everybody know that I will be there for you. I will help out, and anytime you need me, please give me a call. Sometimes I'm busy at the restaurant, but please, I can probably get. We have volunteers that help out as well, but please just let me know. You can talk to me. And lastly, I also want to address a rumor I heard going around. As a councilman, I understand it's my duty to serve the people of Flemington. When I first got in, I will be honest, I felt a little lost, but I'm surrounded by intelligent people with years of experience in various roles. I want to let everyone know that I am interested in my role as councilman, and I can bring valuable resources to this council. It may take a little bit more time on my part, but I will. And I also just want to let you know, lastly, that June 21st is creeping up on us soon, so buy your tickets for the house tours for the HBC. And yeah, that's my report as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Engelhardt.
Thank you. There, that's better. Thank you, Mayor. I want to start off by just giving you a future date that you should be aware of. I know it's well in the future, but you may want to put it on your calendar. On November 8th at 9 a.m. is the annual rabies clinic. Here at Borough Hall, correct? I was honored to attend and march in the Memorial Day Parade 2 weeks ago, and really felt as I was walking through the center of town, you don't actually get to walk down the center of the street very often, and you could really feel the volumes and the ins and outs and undulations of the facades of Main Street and, you know, kind of filling in the teeth, the holes in the facades as we walked along, and it was really inspiring and very, very thankful and honored to have walked in the parade and honored our fallen servicemen and women. I also wanted to mention that the HPC that is still selling tickets like Brandon said, and you will see many of these smiling faces on this council at the houses as docents. So please get out there and say hello. It is a really great event.
And tickets are available the day of the event.
Tickets are available the day of the
Yeah.
event.
There's a link on our website too.
Yeah, because it's well, it's maybe 2 weeks ago, I was told the tickets weren't as the same selling as fast as a few years ago, but the date is 3 weeks later than it normally is, so that also could be. So if you haven't bought your tickets, go out and get them. So finally, I do wanna piggyback on what Brandon said. I was really upset when I heard about the Department of Homeland Security ICE agents arrested 6 of our neighbors and friends this afternoon, or this morning, we found out this afternoon. And my concern is the safety and security of all of our friends and neighbors out there right now. There's a lot of scared people, and the friends that I spoke to in particular, there are families that are scared to leave their homes to go food shopping. There are families who have court dates coming up that have been waiting for years for court dates and are afraid to go to the court date because they're afraid they're going to be arrested on the spot. It's really upsetting, and we're going to try to help anybody that they can, please reach out to us. We will try to help in any way, shape, or form, and whether it's just going to the food store or getting a meal train or whatever we can do, please reach out. Yeah, and please stay safe. Yes,
Thank you. Council President Parker?
Yeah, I have several things. So let me just talk about this ICE incident first of all. What is very, very sad is that we have kids here. We have kids. And so it wasn't, the way I actually found out about this is I got a text from someone at NAACP that asked, do you know anything about the ICE raid? And I had no idea what they were talking about. So I don't understand why I would know that, like, even though I know Jeremy is the commissioner, the bottom line is that I'm getting these questions and I have no idea what's going on. I think the communication absolutely is deplorable. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm concerned about these kids. I'm concerned that kids watch people take people away, even if they're absolutely innocent and everybody around them is innocent, and that this is what they see. And so that means that they're scared. They're scared to go out, they're scared to go play, they're scared to go to school. It's just a deplorable type situation. And at the end of the day, doesn't matter what's happening. I don't care what's happening outside the borough. I care what's happening inside the borough. And one of the things that we have tried to do, I ran on inclusion. We were getting there. It was moving towards that people felt a little bit more comfortable in coming out, but that's gone away. Because I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. So I absolutely get it. There are people who are, we have people who are of Latino background and that own houses here. And so they're put in a very precarious predicament. I think at the end of the day, the council has to, first of all, we should be notified when it happens. There's no way that we should not be notified. And it's particularly as the president of the council, I should definitely be notified that this is happening. I should not be hearing this from a third party. I feel like that is just deplorable. That's my first thing. The other thing is, Brandon, listen. You are standing on the shoulders of many people up here. We're not gonna let you go. We're not gonna let you go. We are going to help you. We are going to help you with whatever we need to do. We will sound it out, and I think this becomes a trust factor. And I know Jeremy's gonna speak on this, but this becomes a trust factor, and we need you to be the bridge to let people know that they can trust that we will do the right thing.
And can I tell you something, Tony? So I've been in contact with a lot of the residents there in Hunter Hills and Flemington Arms, and they talked to them a lot, and I'm guessing, I'm assuming they put a bit of trust into me,
Mhm.
and I've been speaking with them, and they've just been communicating a lot to me and what they've been feeling. They've been feeling a lot of, I guess, a lot of tension. Like I said, they're not, they didn't send some kids to school today just cause, or I'm sorry, they didn't send them to the bus stop. They actually took them to school. When I went around to the Hunter Hills and Flemington Arms, I actually went around there. There were a lot of cars missing, more than usual. I'm assuming they went out there to pick up their kids from school. I know I picked up a couple of friends from Huntington Central, some friends' kids and some friends that I know of because I work with them, blah, blah, blah. And just because it's a scary time. Some of us won't understand it. I don't even understand it because myself, I'm not an immigrant, but I know family, friends, and other immigrants. I couldn't imagine them being taken away from their parents, from their kids, or it's just an insane thing. Yeah, and some will never understand it. I'll never understand it either. But I feel for my friends that go through that, and they go through this right now every day, and it's insane, you know. And I think we have to do something as a council, as well as a community, to help protect those people that work hard. They're hardworking people. They obviously we have our every community has their bad apples, whatever. But we are good people. We work hard. We bring a lot to the community, and for me, that's something I'm very passionate about because through what my parents went through, my family, whatever, my friends, they go through so much that some people don't really understand it or see it. So sorry, but that's something I put out there as well because
I
some
just
people
want-
don't understand it.
I
That's
just
all.
want you to know that we get it, and you know what, Brandon? This is like reliving the sixties all over again
Yep,
with
yep.
Black folks, because this is
Yep.
what Black folks went
Yep.
through as well in the sixties. So I absolutely understand what you're going through, and I have so much empathy of what's going on. And that's why I'm saying, we'll get through this, we will get through this, but I just want you to know you're not alone.
Thank you,
And
sir.
that whatever you need to just let us know so we can
Okay.
help.
Mhm.
Right? All right, moving on. A couple of other things that I want to bring up. One is that I did attend a focus group for Huntington Health.
Oh.
And along with Susan. Yep,
forgot
Susan, I got you.
It's been
Don't
a
worry
few
about
weeks
it.
since we had a meeting, I forgot about
but-
that already.
And it was actually very enlightening because it was more of an interview of what is needed in the community, health-wise, because Hunterdon is the only hospital, healthcare center in Hunterdon County, which is really kind of interesting in itself. And so what they're really trying to do is they're trying to focus in on what the community needs in terms of, not only in terms of just general health, but in terms of women's health, in terms of pediatric health, in terms of homeless. So we did I guess it was about an hour and a half interview with them, and they've got some great initiatives going on. So I was actually really encouraged. The other initiative that I was invited to was at the Chamber of Commerce, was meeting with the Commerce Advocacy Group. And it was really to discuss what they can do to help the business in the borough, to help them, to give them resources, to help market them, to keep them sustainable so that they don't go under. But they also were some concerns about the development in Hillsborough, and the reason why people don't want to come into Hillsborough is because there are some really big concerns about the slowing of development. So that came out as well, and there was some pretty it was one of those things you just listen to, you don't necessarily have to comment, you just listen, but there was some really active comments about that as well, and there were a couple of realtors there who were talking about this, and talking about what would happen and why it's happening and what the impact is and what the impact is gonna be on the businesses. And I think we see the impact on the businesses now because they are struggling. The other thing is that, so I also met with the event committee and came to, as you guys will see, an ordinance today to that with the language, you know, that we passed a temporary ordinance just to get it through, to help out at that time, with the applications and the whole bit. But it was a pretty intense conversation, and we came to some resolution, and so you'll see that on as well. I will say this in terms of speaking of events. So the Corn Tomato and Beer Festival, and Robin can speak to this a little bit more, but I'm giving you the heads up. It needs to be moved from August to October, and it's gonna be called Harvest Festival. And the reason being is because of the anticipated construction that will be going on at the back of Stengel at that point in time and getting cars in and out. So it was a decision made by both the board and the events committee with the direction of the police, that this is one of the things that we should look at doing. So we all agree that we're gonna just look at that and move that forward. So it's not gonna be called Oktoberfest, but my understanding is that this has happened before when they had to postpone the Corn Tomato and Beer Festival and made it into Harvest Festival. Yeah, so I mean, it's not like it's going away, it's just this big move. And let's face it, October, the weather is a little bit better than the heat of August. So, you know, it's about pivoting, right? And that's a good pivot on.
Can I ask a question about this? Is this because George is closing, he's doing the construction back there and elevating the road?
Yes,
And, but is it on the boroughs, what I'll call the borough side, which is from Lone Eagle down, or is it on the other side of Lone Eagle?
on the other side.
So,
It's about trying to get vendors in and out of there. There's no way to get them in and out.
because the road's gonna be growing.
Right, and
That's what-
without hitting onto, yes.
Okay.
So
Because
it
the
just,
planning board, as I recall, Adrian, yeah, my memory, he represented that he wasn't gonna close our road.
no, he's not.
Okay, all right.
No,
Okay.
it's their road.
Because of the way that.
Yeah, it's one way in and one way out.
First thing in the morning and they pull them in one way
Yep.
and out and they have to drive around
Mhm.
to their side.
Mhm.
Okay,
So that.
And
that
then
makes
then it
sense.
would all go on to, what you call it,
Mine Street.
the Mine Street, so that would just, then we'd have.
I want to
another
go first thing in the morning and you
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
that.
So anyway, so that's what's happening. The other thing is that I couple of things. I took the time, because I just, you know, one of the things that I think that needs to happen is that we're going through this thing with zoning, and we're going through this thing, I'm hearing things about parking, and I'm hearing this, and I'm hearing that. And so what I decided to do was reach out to some mayors. So I met with 3 mayors. I'm meeting with 3 other mayors in the next week. Because I want to understand, and these are the mayors who've gone through some of the same things, and I wanted to understand what their process was. What were the roadblocks? What, like learning outcomes, because I just don't think anybody's done that to find out what the learning outcomes are. And so, as opposed to saying no, yes, this, that, is really to understand what this is about and what were the repercussions and what the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they were very forthcoming, very upfront, and we'll discuss some of that at a later date, but it was very, very informative. We talked about zoning, we talked about parking restrictions, and by the way, just so that everybody knows, Lambertville does not have any parking restrictions. There's no such thing as residential passes or anything like that. That does not exist there. The only thing that they have is that the immediate downtown area, they have parking meters, which they're gonna get rid of and put the things that everybody else has where you put your code in and they don't have to worry about the meters. And businesses can buy parking spaces if they want it. And I think it's like a nominal fee of like $25 a year or something like that. But anyway, it was very informative because I was under the impression when we heard about whatever, and I kept hearing that Lambertville has it, they don't have it. And nor does a couple of other places that I think everybody assumed had it, they do not have it. It does not exist. So let's just take that off the table. And I asked, so is there any issues with parking all night? No, and they said absolutely not. You might have to park 2 doors down as opposed to right in front of your house, but it's never been an issue. So just putting that out there. I also met with the president of Cardinal, because what was bothering me about the whole Cardinal thing is the last discussion we had was that, Cardinal redevelopment.
So
We've been doing all of those in executive session.
Okay, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, I'm not giving away anything. I just met with them because I wanted to understand. Like, I wanted some more information. That's all I want. I don't, it wasn't about negotiating. It wasn't about telling this. It was just to try to understand what's going on. So I talked to Chris Crescini and I also talked to Jim Fearon, and we should have a closed session with Cardinal present. So I will just leave it at that.
I have Jim Fearon scheduled to come to an executive session at the next meeting to talk about both Cardinal and Chiva
Okay,
and what's going on with both of those.
well, I talked to him today and he didn't know that, so I'm just saying. So if you do, he didn't know that.
He's coming.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you, you didn't know that. But I also think we should have Cardinal present as well. Anyway, and everybody agrees. And I also want to remind people that, and I met with the county administrator, which was a really good meeting. We talked about the building, fire building, but he also informed me that there's 2 other buildings that are up for that if it wanted to look at, that we might want to consider. So I gave that information to Robin. I told him we would definitely want to look at them. I think that's a great idea. We talked about the parking lot. And my understanding on the parking lot is that they were willing to do something. And for some reason, there's a building and there was like this uproar, and so they just said, hands off.
You're talking about the parking lot next to Mikasa?
Yes, yes.
So they were gonna put it out to public bid and sell it. And
No.
they couldn't sell it because they did not do an archaeological on it, because it's an historic designation, so they pulled selling it. And I asked them to give it to the borough, and they told me 2 years ago they would consider it, but every time I asked them.
No, that's not what I heard. I'm just telling you, that's not what I heard.
Yeah, well,
That's not what I heard. What I heard is that they pulled back because there was so much controversy, they pulled back on it. And I said, is there possible to move forward with it and get some, and put that back up? And the answer was, I can bring that up.
so
Hold on, please let me finish, please. We also talked about the warming center and what the controversy was on the warming center and what are we gonna do and what their responsibility is and et cetera, and the homeless. So we had that conversation as well. And I think as a group, and we can do this in a closed session, but we really need to talk about this. We really need to talk about this a little bit more, because I hear a rumbling that there may be a lawsuit coming. And, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to do it here, but I do think it warrants more conversation. I do think it warrants more conversation before anything's decided or they move forward. I know that there's something that's happening in May, in June, or whatever the case may be. And we need to prepare in case it's not in our favor, but in whatever favors. The bottom line is that the more I talked to people and the more I heard, the more I thought, you know what, we're not necessarily doing all of our homework. And I'm saying all of us, I'm not saying da. we're not necessarily doing our homework, so I don't know that we can appreciate the depth and the knowledge that is out there. That we should be taking advantage of. That's my.
I just wanna go back to this parking lot. The controversy was that there was an outcry from some of our businesses as well as the Historic Society and some other organizations that they didn't want the county to sell that parking lot because it's the only public parking on the south side of town. And the county was planning on selling it, and that was the controversy, so they were proceeding, there was gonna be an auction, and the day before the auction, I don't know whether it was the Historic Society or who, but it came out that they couldn't sell it because they hadn't gone through the proper process of doing the archaeological because it's an historic district.
Well, I asked him if he could just, if we were interested, so I'm asking the council right now, are we interested in him bringing this up to commissioners so that we can take a look at that? I think that's the point. I'm not asking you to, excuse me, let me, please finish, please. I'm not suggesting that we look at that right now, but I'm saying that we need to like just, if that's something that we want to entertain, that we should just roll that over, whatever the case may be.
We had a conversation in 2023, I brought it to the council in 2023, I went back to him and told him we absolutely were interested in taking that parking lot over because the county doesn't want to insure it or plow it. And so since that time, I have had 6 conversations with the administrator and various directors of the freeholder board or the commissioners about that parking lot specifically and getting it into the hands of the borough.
All I'm telling you is,
So-
I'm
Well,
just
let's
delivering
open
what
up
I
our
heard.
conversation again, because maybe
Let's
going
not-
about it in a
President
different way.
did, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
I do recall you having, I do recall you announcing that, you know, at one point, I'm not saying, we're not saying that you haven't tried, I'm just saying, let's try again.
It's frustrating because
I'm sure it
we're
is.
having the same conversation with the county.
Let's
And
see if us coming about it from
Well,
a different
and if he's
direction will be
listen,
more
but now he's
successful.
talked to 2 people, and now it is on, that we've talked, and I'm bringing it out to everybody, so now maybe if there was a hold or misunderstanding or whatever the case would be. Again, it's not pointing fingers, it is just saying, here's what I did, I'm just reporting to what I did.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, if we want him to pursue this and move forward with it, then I will send him an email saying yes. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Councilwoman Sir,
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding parking, I want to thank all of the residents that have reached out to me and advised me upon my request what issues they're having near their parking, where their home is, what kind of traffic they're seeing and at night. Jeremy, I think you and I maybe could work together. Maybe I can share that with you. One of the key things has been class 3 vehicles being left on the street overnight. These are commercial vehicles, these are transportation vehicles. I understand that there are different perspectives on this and that there are people that want to kind of slow the roll. But if we go out and we start talking to residents, you're gonna hear a little bit of a different story about what they're currently experiencing today. And so I've got a few of those examples, and I do know that 3 people will be calling police tonight on one of them, and I will be the 4th person. So that's one thing. I literally just heard about this immigration issue at the top of the hour when Council President Parker. And I'm probably in the unique position of being the only person up here whose spouse is actually a New American. And he got his green card on the day I was born. His family went back and forth to Italy. He did too. He grew up in the Bronx, went back. November 12th, 2020, he became a citizen. And so for anybody who may look at this or read this and tap into, one of the things I can say is to become a citizen, even with as a legal green card holder, the ability to write, there's a lot of work. There's biometrics. You absolutely must go to every single meeting at ICE, immigrations. And even then, when you go through these interviews, here's a man who had served in his army, and that was a military that was an allied military. He almost didn't get his citizenship because this little thing, well, why weren't you in selective service? Well, I had mandatory service in another country for 5 years.
Selective service here?
Yeah, selective service here. So this is not an easy process to go through. Even if you came here with a work visa, even if you came here with a green card holder for almost 40 some odd years, going to those appointments and being able to go in and sit down, that is the number one thing you do to get your citizenship. They take that seriously. Having your biometrics taken, your eyeball, like that's how in-depth it has been since 9/11. And then also as the experience of someone seeking citizenship in another country, what I've had to go through with going into New York City, with the Italian embassy to get my citizenship, to take my test, my little language test that I have to continuously take. It is a very overwhelming thing. So when I hear that residents who followed everything that they could do and are trying to follow the rules are afraid to go to their immigration meeting, that's really bad. That is hitting the alarm in a big way. So for our residents here and where I live in the borough, I live in a nice historic home, but we do have homes that are multiple families. And I love the sounds of your children laughing and playing on a Sunday afternoon. So please reach out to us, and please connect with me because we know the right people to talk to. Okay? Thank you.
Councilman Levitt?
Thank you. First off, happy Pride Month. Second, in case nobody's mentioned it, tomorrow is primary election day, so please don't forget to vote and good luck, Carla.
Thank you.
Third, the environmental commission meeting this month was canceled. Next one is Monday, July 7th. Next Shade Tree Commission meeting is, I believe, this week, Wednesday, June 9th. It is on the agenda tonight, on the consent agenda, but provided we all pass the resolution, fireworks will be on July 3rd at the Verdon Clemington Intermediate School at 50 Court Street, Clemington, New Jersey, 08822. The fields open at 6 p.m. Fireworks launch at dusk around 9:15 p.m. Dr. D will be providing entertainment with music starting at 6. Rita's Ice will be available for purchase, which benefits the event. You're invited to bring your chairs and blankets for this great show. Any questions or anybody interested in sponsoring the show can be addressed to Mark Hain, and he can be emailed at mhain@historicclemington.com. I just want to note I will also be volunteering for the historic house tours. And I think we've missed mentioning this, but the key reason to purchase tickets in advance is that tickets are $25 in advance and $30 the day up. Mayor Kara and I are still working on the newsletter. I will have it finished eventually. I am working on taking all of the articles and putting them into the actual newsletter and making them try and fit on 12 pages, which is, I'm glad everybody is sending in content, to say the least. Aiming for a publication date of somewhere around June 23rd. And lastly, I just want to say regarding the ICE raid today, earlier I condemn it in the strongest possible terms. I am personally of the opinion that ICE is not welcome, wanted, or needed in this borough. And what we have seen from ICE in this administration over the past few months, whether it has been US citizens being detained, college students having their visas revoked for exercising their First Amendment rights, makeup artists being sent to concentration camps in foreign countries with no hope of return, or what has happened to people like Kareem, it is clear that they are fundamentally incapable of complying with the law, the Constitution, and the basic tenets of human rights and decency. And I personally believe should be abolished as an institution. I firmly believe their actions do not help a single resident of this borough, and their mere presence puts borough residents at risk of falling victim to yet another catastrophic mistake or miscarriage of justice being perpetrated by them. I've said before that that the immigration or citizenship status of our residents is of little importance to me, and what matters is that you call this borough home like I do. And if that's the case, then I see it as my job to work for and protect you and improve your life to the best of my ability. And I know that welcoming ICE in any capacity here does not do that. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more thing, and that is that I want everybody to know that besides the house tours on June 21st, it's Juneteenth celebration in Stengel as well. And so I'm hoping that there's a turnout for that. These people have worked so hard to get this whole thing together. Ivy, who is doing this thing almost single-handedly to get this together. So it's from 4:30 to 8. So if you can drop by, that'd be great. I would love to
Right
see it
after
at
the
the
house
concert.
tour.
Yeah, I would love to see it at the concert, even if you just go for a few minutes, just let them know that we are supportive. Thanks.
Councilman Long?
Yeah, thanks. I have a number of things. I'm gonna try to tighten it up for us all here, but as far as police reporting, the month of May, we saw stop sign enforcements, as you have seen, we have several new stop signs that were installed throughout town. Majority of drivers are complying according to the chief and stopping as required. However, some residents may still be adjusting to the new sign placements. So just to give you a sense of things, 6 summonses were issued for failure to stop throughout the town. And that was last month. And the police department encouraged everyone to remain alert, follow all traffic signage to ensure the safety of our community. Speed enforcement, still going on. The additional stationary radar posts are working to complete speed surveys, and I have all that data. If any of you would like it, I'll share it with you. You can pour over those numbers for specific streets. And as far as our community outreach, our police are going to be involved on they were involved, I'm sorry, on May 6th at the McDonald's on Rayville Avenue, Happy Meal with a Cop. Event was well attended, and the department had the opportunity to interact with over 50 children and their families, and they look forward to hosting similar events in the future. On June 14th, multiple departments are going to be part of the Public Safety Day, and that's going to be held at the Shops of Flemington on Rayville. Flemington Police Department is proud to partner with the Flemington Office of Emergency Management, the Flemington Fire Department, the Rescue Squad, and the Flemington Department of Public Works to bring our community together for this special event.
Is that Saturday?
That's Saturday.
1/28, right?
Yeah, I'm getting, you know what, that's
11?
It's 11 to.
11 to 5, I believe it is, but I have it, it's in multiple parts of my report, so I'll get to it. Where was I? So on September 20, so basically what we're gonna have there is, a variety of activities, throwing demonstrations, a chance to climb aboard emergency vehicles and explore equipment, plus food, fun crafts, and entertainment. It's a day of fun, learning, and community connection that you won't want to miss. And for me personally, I think this is a good thing for people to see, very good volunteer opportunities. We have a squad, we have a fire department, we have police explorers, we have a CERT team. We have a ton of stuff that people can get involved in if you want to make a difference here in Flemington. September 20th, looking forward into the fall. I think I may have mentioned this before. They're going to have Hunterdon Health is partnering with them to host a mock traffic stop designed for individuals with autism spectrum disorder. This event aims to raise awareness and promote understanding between law enforcement and individuals with ASD, providing a safe and educational environment to navigate potential traffic stop scenarios. More details will be shared as we get close to that event. That's going to be September 20th. Department's working on securing a cops hiring program grant. The goal is to enhance community policing capacity and strengthen crime prevention efforts. So the department has applied for funding to support the hiring of 2 additional officers. This would help the department better meet the growing demands of public safety and welfare as the community continues to expand. So stay tuned for more on that. We've had some officers move out of their probationary status to officially have we have a lieutenant now, we have 3 sergeants, and we have a new corporal. 5 officers were promoted on May 1st and have successfully completed their 1-year probationary period. On May 5th, the police department welcomed its new full-time secretary, Rebecca Levinsky. She's been doing a really exceptional job since starting. She's got a positive impact already, had a positive impact, and she's also recently obtained her notary public status, which further enhances the department's administrative capacities. So unfortunately, I have some news to break as far as we have some officers leaving the borough. We've got 2 resignations. Officer Christian Matta, he joined us in July 2023. He's going to be leaving. Well, he left June 7th, I guess. Sorry, a little late on that one. And then
Didn't have a meeting last night.
that's true. He's now with Boundbrook, and Officer Don Alla. He's been with us since 2017. He's leaving in July to be closer to home, I believe, in Hillsborough. And we thank them for their service and to this community and wish them continued success. Roadwork's been underway in various parts of Flemington, and the police department would like to remind all drivers to slow down and stay alert when approaching construction zones. In these areas, please reduce your speed and be mindful of shifting traffic patterns. The priority is to ensure the safety of both the workers and the officers present. Your attention and caution can help prevent accidents and keep everyone safe. We ask that you obey all posted signs, follow directions from traffic flaggers or police officers, remain patient. Fire department is proud to announce, as you know, we have a new ladder truck, the 100-foot ladder truck, a brand spanking new Pierce Ascendant. The new tower is not in service, and the squad engine will be is in service, and the squad engine will be in service shortly. The addition of the both apparatus will greatly enhance the safety for the firefighters and ability to serve our community. Administratively, they were happy to announce that working with me and the offices of Tom King Jr. to open up new grant opportunities through our 501(c)(3) nonprofit status renewal. So that helps. One highlight for the department this year was our firefighters were able to engage in a joint training exercise hosted by the Flemington Raritan Rescue Squad, which is a great opportunity to enhance their abilities. Firefighters continue to work in many visible and invisible ways in the borough. Fire chief remains thankful to their dedication and their invaluable service they provide. We've added one fully certified firefighter to the ranks. We have one training for the fall. Second half of the year, we're going to continue to focus on member retention and recruitment. Again, I like to use that volunteer word. And again, the fire department wants to remind everybody of this Saturday at the Shops at Flemington, the first responders celebration. OEM. So specifically, OEM would like everyone to know that at 11 a.m. it begins, and at 4 p.m. it will end at the Shops at Flemington. Shaping up to be a great day. Again, multi-departments. You're going to have canine demonstration, vehicle extraction demos, tons of family-oriented events. The Lyceum lecture series continues. So on June 26th, we'll be back here in Borough Hall. Proud to say that I've got Allie Norton lined up to lead the lecture. It's called From Main Street Up, Local Business and Civic Infrastructure. Music will be supplied by Matt Hand starting at 6:30. The lecture starts at 7. You can hang out for some refreshments and some chatter afterwards. A Good Neighbor survey is posted on social media, councilman Facebook page and my councilman Instagram page. I think has something in there, but I'm going to send it out more broadly, and I might want to add that to Councilman Levitt's newsletter because if I have time. Okay, that's it. So I think all my fellow council members up here spoke their unique truths about an incident, and I can confirm as the police commissioner that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE, conducted an operation in our town this morning at 6 a.m. I spoke with Chief Rattel this afternoon and want to clearly state that our department was not involved in planning or execution of this operation. Federal immigration law enforcement falls under the jurisdiction of agencies like ICE, not our municipal police department. We serve no role in that arena. Chief informed me that via his contact with the agency, 6 individuals were detained by the Newark Division of ICE this morning. He was told by the contact that there were arrest warrants out for these individuals. No information about the specific warrants was given. No names, no ages, no identification of them was offered. Prior to the incident, Chief was informed that ICE would be in the area, but no specifics were given about locations. After the incident, Chief was then provided the information I just shared with you. So I just want everybody to know that the Borough Police Department's mission is to serve and protect everyone in our community, regardless of their immigration status. The department's here to enforce local laws, respond to emergencies, and ensure public safety for everyone. We want to ensure all residents that if you call 911, a borough cop will be responding to your emergency. I cannot emphasize enough that our officers do not inquire about immigration status during routine stops or investigations. Building and maintaining trust between our police department and every member of our community is paramount. And this has been the focus of so many of our community connection events hosted by and including our officers. So I just wanted to let everyone know that, you know, this is something the federal government is doing. And I think that we make a lot of efforts in Flemington to make sure people feel safe and welcome and part of something. And that's what community is all about. And I don't particularly like hearing people talking about people are scared people aren't feeling safe, people don't wanna leave the house. I can't imagine what that feels like, I don't know that terror,
It's awful. It's awful.
but I know we all would rather that not be the case. So if there is an emergency, don't have to worry about our police officers. They're not IC. And that's what we're.
So Jeremy, let me ask you a question. So a couple of things. First of all, I just want to comment on the last thing that you do. Did a great job. I mean, he actually talked, I'm sorry, you actually talked about your family being from Flemington, so it was great. And so I'm looking forward to the next one. But let's go back to ISIS for a second, right, and the police. Because I think what the real issue is here is the police, right, is in the neighborhood talking to people so that they feel comfortable that they can come to them. Because your word, I mean, I hear what you're saying and I get it, and I think everybody else gets it, but I think this guy, and I know that if we talk to like Norma and other people who are leaders in the community, that's what they're gonna tell you. They need someone to go in there, and they did a good job last year, was it last year? Where they went and had community day,
An officer.
and they did such a phenomenal, I remember talking to you guys, they did about it, they did such a phenomenal job. And so they need to do that, they need to keep doing things like that over and over and over again, so their presence is there, so they do feel comfortable picking up the phone. And they do understand that the police are not attacking them or giving them up, but they are trying to protect them. I think that is what you have to get to.
Best thing.
If I could, just one last thing on that, just because I don't want this claim to go unchallenged, is that, I heard differing reports that it was not necessarily that 6 people with criminal warrants or arrests were picked up. That has not been confirmed at all, like you mentioned. They sent no proof, no names, no records, no anything, and they are incapable of telling the truth. So I don't necessarily believe that claim that it was 6 people with criminal records. And I heard that one individual, in fact, was a case of mistaken identity. So I simply want to put that out there on the record, so it doesn't go.
So what you're saying is that the contact that chief spoke to at ICE did, the report that we got this afternoon via email late in the afternoon wasn't necessarily accurate? Not by
That's-
any fault of the chief.
That was.
Oh, absolutely, I'm
Yeah.
not saying,
That was-
that is
Yeah,
what
I think that's
relayed to us.
But we also don't know that it wasn't.
But we also don't know if it was.
Exactly.
No way.
I can't confirm that what's supposed to be. Because I'll go off of this, me personally, I did speak to a resident who's actually, that's what Trent was actually saying, I forgot to mention it, so. Actually, thank you, Trent, for bringing that up. It was actually a resident, it was actually her husband's brother's friend that was actually driving the car for his brother, and apparently it was supposed to, they were tracking the allegedly the brother's car for the criminal they were supposed to take. Now, like I said, I can't confirm that this is obviously true or not, but apparently that's what I was told from the resident that was living in Hunter Hills, and that's what I was just told. But that's where I got that from, and I did forget to mention that as well, so, but yeah, and like you guys said, the track record isn't great with them either, they do speak not the truth so many times as well, so, but yeah.
I wanted to, since I went earlier, I wanna follow up on this, because I knew Jeremy was gonna be talking about this, so I didn't speak too much about the subject. With the exception of my concern about the safety and security of some of our friends and neighbors. I'm glad to know that, I'm glad that chief did give you a report, Jeremy, that's great, and I really do appreciate you stressing that if somebody needs something and there's an emergency, that they should still be calling the police for help. That's really important. So I just want to stress that, number one. I was concerned that this morning, the ICE agents were spotted at 7:30 this morning. And as Brandon mentioned, there were children going to school at the bus stop and watching men with, you know, men in ice gear, literally going and arresting their neighbors.
With guns.
Yeah, I can't imagine how terrified those children were. And I'm so sorry that our neighbors and families are going through this. But it's horrifying and it's unacceptable. You know, the Department of Homeland Security, we, you know, it was formed after 9/11 when we were attacked, you know, from across our borders. And my concern is that the federal government is so focused domestically internally in this country that we're putting a blind eye. And I'm afraid another 9/11 could happen again because we're not focusing on the right things in this country. What we can do as a little, you know, little old councilmen and women here that's sitting up here is try to help our constituents and any way we can. So, that's all.
Thank you. All right, moving on to public comment session 1, if you have any comments for the council. Please state your microphone, state your name and address for the record. Anybody online? Yeah.
Karen Toby Jones, 20 Spring Street. You've raised more than valid concerns and clearly, like, I feel like it all can't fall in your laps. Is there any way we could look to mobilize the community to address this in addition to whatever? It doesn't sound like your scope of power really can have concrete steps that could be taken to address this. It sounds like the jurisdiction of ICE is beyond what anybody can address. So it seems like we need more people on deck.
Just because I interact with DHS every single day. I'm a trade compliance officer, that's literally my world. Having worked with them on some investigations, one in Phillipsburg a few years ago that was pretty big with white supremacists stealing my phones when I worked for Verizon, so I'm very used to them. And there is what I could say is it's very difficult for us as a council. We really don't have the authorization. My bigger concern is I have a police department that I have always called Flemington Sweethearts. And Flemington Sweethearts, they aren't even able to step in, right? And I do feel like their toes are being stepped on. And perhaps people won't pick up the phone if they're sexually assaulted or there's an issue because they're so afraid, not knowing that Flemington Sweethearts are not the people who are doing this to the community. So I would say this though, as a council, I don't know how you mobilize. None of us will know. When you are audited by CDP, and there's a huge financial piece, and that's really, they're all about money, let me tell you. We started, that's the first thing we had, right? Boston Tea Party, it was over getting those tariffs, those taxes, right? When you're a huge business, you don't even know when they're coming in. And when they come in with guns and they say, give us all of your import records, all of your export records, prove to me that you know every person you've exported to outside of the United States for the past 3 years. It is really, we have a tendency to forget that we might not like how they came about, but they are indeed a law enforcement agency. And I will say this, as a capital B Black woman, my parents had the conversation with me. Okay, I've had those conversations with my nephews and my nieces. I would always caution that before you put hands up, right? Be very careful about what's on the other side of that. And some of that is because of the psychology of how I've experienced America and how I've lived. I have a tremendous fear sometimes of, and when I get pulled over, I'm nervous. And when they're coming to your house, I can't imagine because Flemington Sweethearts come in, they're jolly, you know, they do all these wonderful things, they're so nice, right? DHS is a different beast. Some of these guys came from the federal marshals, a lot of them came from the military. And they are a different beast and they don't care. Well, no, they don't care. They have a very specific set of regulations that they have to maintain.
Right, and I'm not talking about.
So I hear what you're asking.
Yeah.
So let me answer your question then, okay? So I think there's two things. Let me just say this. I was one of the first vendors, contractors in DHS when it started. So I know what the parts, I know everything about DHS as there is to know, inside and out, and I still know it today, so it's not the same thing. But when you're talking about what do we do to so you do have to mobilize, you do have to say this is not acceptable. And you have to do that as a community, you have to say that because we can no longer sit back and just say, twiddle our thumbs and say, okay, it's happening, but we don't know what to do. I think the other part of that is that you need to let the community know. You need to let the Hills know, you need to let United Way know, you need to let them know that you exist, you're here,
that
and
they
you're
have
willing to
allies.
do whatever
Right.
there is to help them. I think that's what you have to do, and so that they feel a sense of security, because they don't think the outside, they don't think everybody's against them,
Right.
right? So and I'm gonna go back to kind of what, listen. I've had a cross burned on my lawn in Princeton, New Jersey when I was a kid. And it has never, ever gone out of my mind. So I understand how these kids feel. I absolutely understand how this community feels, right?
Well,
And so my point of it is that if this is something as simple as a letter, as simple as if we can get the police to do the community day, for the community to show up at that community day with them to let them know.
So can you have that, things like that happen so that those of us who would be allies can show up?
Yeah.
And let people know that we're concerned.
So I'm gonna turn this to Jeremy, because that's what I've always been into community policing, and I asked if it was still going on, and so now it needs to be ramped up 25 times, right? And so what I would ask, Jeremy, if you can ask the chief to get some dates for a community day up in the hills, so that, and then let people like yourself know that it's happening, announce it, so and encourage the community to come up and join it. Yes,
Right. Thank you.
sure.
I also wanna answer your question. But nothing's formal because literally we got this email at 2:30 this afternoon.
Mhm.
But I have reached out to a few community members when it comes to just the needs that they need right now after the fact, like I mentioned in my report. There are people that are literally scared to leave their home and need help shopping for groceries and stuff like that. So I this one contact person in town has agreed to try to help mobilize some of the kind of after effects
That
of
would be
this.
great.
And I would be happy to reach out, maybe you could help with that.
Or just
Yeah.
to stand
And I
by
think
our
just
fellow.
check on your neighbors. I mean, I think
Right.
it's more important to just literally walk across the street and
Right.
knock on the door and say, hey, I'm here for you if you need.
Yeah.
I think that's just as important as doing something formal.
And if you can get your neighbors to do the same
Mhm.
thing, so your group of influence, if you can get them to join in to do the same thing, to show up at that event or whatever, I think that would help as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Just one more thing.
Sure.
So you raised really important topics that I'd like to know more about. And I understand executive session's a closed session, but where does the information get passed out the other end? Like, I'd like to know, like, in the continuum, like, what the answers were to some of the things that you've raised. If they're super interesting, really would like to know more about them. How do we go about doing that? I know you're working hard, and I appreciate the work that you do every day to help this community. And I'd like to be more involved in that work from, even if a peripheral role. But I don't always know about all these things. So, and maybe you tell me, well, you need to get more informed. How do I do that?
I mean,
You need to be more
thorough on
informed.
this a little bit.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, so I don't even know, I know it's gonna sound awful, like, I'm on the planning zoning board. I really, like, when you brought something up earlier,
Mhm.
like, I didn't know that because we're not involved in some of those discussions either.
Right.
So even within some of our different boards, there are things that I'm
Right.
involved with in one of my assignments that there's a lot going on, I just can't talk about it, like, I can't discuss it
Right.
outside of the.
So that's a problem for me.
Mhm.
As a community member, like, and I understand there's rules and you are told not to do certain things, and I'm not asking you to
One of the
transgress
things
that.
I've said to some of my peers in different conversations, and they know it, just so you know, nothing you say with me, if you can't see it to me in a way that I can share with the public, we should be
Right.
having a discussion. Obviously, personnel issues, that's one thing, like, we're not gonna talk about
Right.
people's, but in terms,
Right.
but they know, like, and I tend to be pretty direct. sometimes in a way that the public won't appreciate with my peers behind closed doors and on phone calls. So, I don't know, Mayor, like.
I mean, the bottom line, the parameters for executive session are very tight,
Mhm.
and one of them is contracts and negotiations.
Right,
Um,
and I actually don't care about those. But what I care about is what's going to, and I understand contracts, too, but I don't need to know like your financial bottom line on things. There's things that.
That's what you do.
I'm definitely.
That's the public stuff.
That's your
Yeah.
money, that's not our money, you absolutely
But wait,
right.
yeah,
That's me,
I'm just telling you personally, I don't care about that.
But I think we,
Specifically, I mean, what do you? what
Well,
you
I
heard?
wanna hear, like, I'll give you an example. I wanna hear what happens with the warming center. I feel invested in that topic. And I don't want the decision to be made in a black box and then for the solutions, whatever that is, to be presented. I wanna be part of the decision making with something that impacts our community.
so you're singing my song right now, because I believe, and I've said this over and over again, everybody deserves a seat at the table. Everybody.
Right.
That includes the community, that includes businesses, that includes landlords, that includes everybody deserves a seat at the table. So you are making the point that I have stressed over and over again, and you're absolutely correct. And maybe that's in form of doing a town hall,
Mhm.
so that, so you can ask questions and get answers. Maybe that's in form of doing some neighborhood meetings. That's something that we as a council really need to talk about and explore. And because you're right, we don't do a great job at communicating
It's hard, I get it.
and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
Mhm.
It's because it's just, it is, right? And so
Right.
I agree with you, and bravo to you for bringing that up, first of all. But I do think that there's some work to be done and get you an actual answer to your question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sat here and I wanted to ask questions. But it has to come through this.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so. I don't think it should all fall on your shoulders either.
Mhm.
I think that the community should be more involved and invested in the decisions that you're wrestling with. I don't think it should be like, well, you know, I'm not part of the council, I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I live in this community, I need to worry about that. So just so you know, I don't think I'm alone in this. I think there's other people that would lend a hand and not just complain about decisions you make. I'd like to be part of the early decision making and be proactive. So, and again, I'm not alone.
Yep.
Maybe they're not here, but we could get them to mobilize if there was an avenue for people
Yeah.
to feel that they had a purpose and were invested in the community.
It's interesting because you're not the only person that's brought that up. I've had several people just walking on the street and even some of the neighbors who actually voiced this. And so that's why I'm thinking that we probably need to have a town hall. We do, we need to do something
Yeah.
so that we can talk about
To be
this.
honest with you, some of it is just. First of all, you can always call us, you can always email us, so, and you can do that individually, and then
Right.
if we don't, if we're not assigned that specific topic, let's say it has to do with the police, I would say. Right, Jeremy, I want you to respond to this because I don't know. So first of all, please don't ever hesitate to do that, but more importantly, it's the little things that really make a difference. Volunteering for anything, for a committee, for coming to, helping out, bringing cookies at to the Lyceum event. Start out small because that's how I got sucked in, you know, eventually they suck you in more, but more importantly. I know what it's hearing, more importantly, do volunteer for something that charges you up, that interests you. And we're a 1 square mile community with less than 5,000 people.
Right.
So guess what? The person that you happen to be working in the community garden with also happens to be a police officer. And you actually get to, you get to know what's going on in town just by volunteering for that one little thing. The Sam Fleming House, the HPC, the planning board. We're always looking for volunteers. Some of them don't sound so sexy to volunteer for. But what you actually end up doing is getting to know, oh, that person lives in that house across the way, and oh, they're involved with this, that, and the other thing. And you actually do get to know what's going on just by networking. It's like networking for work, but it's in your community. I would really encourage anybody, number one, reach out to us anytime, and number two, volunteer for anything. We can use the help, we can use the help, and thank you for offering.
Anything else, Mr. Coach?
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're from the public, thank you, the name and the director.
Adrian Guy, 24 Spring Street. So on the ice thing, what have the police been told how to handle this?
So, the New Jersey,
Attorney General.
Thank you, the Attorney General of the State of New Jersey had put out, I mean, a different one, still in action, a paper in I think it was 19, that set out the parameters of involvement with anything to do with homeland security raids, basically stating that the police were to not,
Back off.
basically not help them nor stand in their way, basically. That they cannot stand in their way, but they do not have to assist. And that is the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey is in charge of all police departments in the state of New Jersey. So his rule in 2019, which is still the effect, I don't know how many attorney generals later, is the rule of the police, not my rule, not the police commissioner's rule. He overrules all of us.
A different topic. I want to commend the chief of police. I've been having problems with the street on Spring Street and the development and parking and he reached out to me and we had a very nice conversation and I feel bad that he has 2 officers he's got to replace, so he's short-staffed and they are trying to do the best for the community in what they're doing. He has always been responsive to me and to the Toby Joneses. So I want to say thank you to them. I know a couple of you live on Broad Street. My neighbor that's directly behind me has told me items have been stolen off his porch
On Broad Street?
on Broad Street.
Happened the other day.
Like,
And cars have been vandalized.
Yeah. I had over the weekend.
Yes,
yes,
on Broad Street. Right behind my house.
Which I
I know.
probably see your backyard, you probably see.
that's
So,
what down my driveway.
I didn't say anything to the chief because I only found out about the second event, yesterday. But, crime is increasing. And little petty kind of crap. But, you know, sometimes I don't lock my car door, I forget, I have a driveway. You know, Karen and I are the only houses on our part of Spring Street that have driveways. All of the people on that street, except for us, have to park on that street. So when I hear that the parking efforts for when the hotel project are changing the plan. I was all in when you guys were gonna do, you know, try to focus on the residents and ensuring that we have parking. You can't tell me that 200+ units and Mr. Quest is going to charge them to park. You can't tell me that they're not going to park on Spring Street. I am right across from them. So where are the people that are coming to the bar gonna park? Where are the people that are gonna walk Main Street gonna park? I'm fighting with the planning board right now to get my driveway updated. Just to get a car off of Spring Street, and I'm told I can't do it because I'm 50 square feet over what I wanna do. And I've been working with Karen Biffen, the mayor knows about this, but I'm, this past week has been really hard on me with what's been going on with the project, with the parking. My driveway gets blocked all the time. Sometimes it's residents that just don't get it, but ongoing it was the construction. I asked the chief from now on, I'm a nurse, and when I have to leave, I have to leave. I'm not parking on the street because I don't want my car hit by all the construction crap that's going on day to day. My son has had 3 flat tires.
because of the nails?
Yeah, the nails, they go all.
Yeah,
way
the nails
down.
are everywhere.
They're all, they get traveled down to Spring Street and then, yeah.
They're not washing down there, and they're not
Oh,
washing
it's a
down.
month, well, right now,
That
it's,
pulls the nails down as well.
yeah.
It's been a problem since day one. They are not washing down
Well,
those trucks.
Mr. Pest did say that he would clean it up, and when we walked up today, Tourister is much cleaner than it was. It was a pigsty. I sent the mayor pictures. Tony saw the pictures. The little bits of plastic, I'm sure you've seen it in your yard. Okay, it's all over our yards. It's the stuff from the roof that has blown off. It's all over. All the construction crap that blows off is in our yard.
So what I think I hear you saying, Susan, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that there needs to be a cleanup every single.
It's
Yeah.
in their front end, it's
Okay.
in their specifications,
Okay.
they're supposed to be a neat site.
Okay, so the point of it is that that's not being followed.
Well,
Not being
I mean,
followed.
maybe it's been cleaned up now, but we'll see what it's like in another
Well,
month.
no, but I don't want it to start again, right? So the
It's
point of it
supposed to
is,
regularly
if I'm
happen.
gonna have a conversation, I'm gonna pick up the phone tomorrow and have this conversation. So the point of it is what I'm hearing you say, I don't wanna put words in anyone's mouth. That up until today, this has been an ongoing problem, and have you talked to them about it before, or?
Not the garbage, because
Okay.
that just has been growing.
Okay,
Well, those little pieces of plastics, I did talk to Mr. Pest about
Okay.
that in
and how long ago was that? Do you
Like-
remember?
March.
Earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
It
so.
was cold, we were in.
So I will have a conversation tomorrow. I will get a conversation and that's why I gave you my card. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put him in contact. I wanna have a group conversation so they can hear it. No, I do. I actually walk my dog down that way. by the
Down
way.
there almost every single
Yeah.
day, twice a day with
So-
my little dog.
So.
My little,
Dog down there too.
my little hillbilly dog, yeah. But on the parking issue, I don't wanna lose sight of the parking issue.
Mhm.
I cannot stress how much time has gone into
I
this
know.
plan. And the anxiety I hear, I may not have spoken to you, but I know I've spoken to people on the other side of Spring Street.
Mhm.
I know the couples that live in the corner as you come around.
Yeah,
Forest
but they're not right there.
I know, but the people
Yeah.
that live in Chorus,
Oh, yeah.
I've spoken, it's very rarely that I take a walk where I do my, what I call constituent services, sometimes I walk up on Browns Avenue. With my car
Mhm.
park, take the dog out there, that's my general place there, and I've gotten so much feedback, so I understand that anxiety. When we hear that the parking may change and what we've had planned on Spring Street, it is critical that the people who live there don't have to compete for parking.
I don't wanna park 2 blocks away.
And I understand that the businesses, they wanna get as many people in as possible, if there's, or that we have other issues there, but I'm thinking as just. I've had to fight for parking on Broad Street just to run groceries into my house, right? I always park in my driveway, there's cameras all over the place. For the security issue, one of the things that I would like to do though, and I know that Chief Rotella had done this before, maybe we can pull together one of those meetings. Almost a community safety meeting, and I will take that tomorrow. I think it's worth it for us because it's not just, to me, I look at my neighborhood as Spring Street over to the back, Emerson, like that's my plan.
I actually think Jerry is doing that.
Yeah, they are doing it.
Aren't they
I
doing
think
community by community? They're doing block by block. I'm actually thinking that because they've
But-
initiated that. So I think what.
Invite, right? Like-
No, you don't. What they've been doing is going, Jeremy, can you just check on this? And I think you can speak on this, but they've been doing community by community. They may not have hit your community, so. What I'm gonna ask the commissioner to do is to touch bases with, cause I think this is a Jerry thing, this is a chief thing.
Let me tell you, Chief has been great.
Yeah, so my point of it is that he can pull that together because they've been doing it by community, so. Jeremy, can you check on that?
What do we,
Yeah.
And
what
then-
specific topic are we
Okay,
talking?
so-
Parking, trash,
I think
The number
the
one,
trash thing I'll take anything to do with construction, I will take that.
but the
right?
safety issue.
The safety is a whole.
And I will tell you, Jeremy, I'd like to be involved in that because I do consider that my neighborhood. I know most of my neighbors, we all can see in each other's backyards, even though I'm over on Maple.
so the parking thing,
But I
You
know
know-
we have a lot of older people in that area and that scares the heck.
and we also have a lot of immigrants.
I know, but for our older folks that
That's
like,
interesting.
so as you go up Maple Avenue and around the corner and then there's like this alleyway. I know there's older residents and they. I
Yeah.
wanna make sure they feel safe and that we've got community watch going on there. Let's do that.
Adrian, I'd like to piggyback on a, sorry,
It's too
we got two
bad.
Adrian, yeah, no, we both Adrian, Adrian, I wanted to piggyback on what Adrian just said, sorry, I was confusing myself. Related to the parking committee, because I also sit on that committee, and I wanna clarify maybe, on Tony's behalf, what he was talking about. I think there was some concerns about, the parking committee's done a lot of work, and a lot of research, and I do feel strongly that we need parking stickers for all residents throughout town, because that's the way we can help the police figure out whose car needs to be moved when it gets, when it's snowing, and who's supposed to be there, who's not supposed to be there, and it definitely helps. So the idea of parking permitting, permits all across town, I'm 100% for. And I think that's something that's come out as positive, that's come out of the parking committee. So I wanna make it clear. That we have no intention of proposing anything else. I don't wanna speak for Adrian, but
No,
the parking committee is not intending to propose anything else. I think what Tony is doing is having casual conversations with some of the local other elected officials, because he wants to get an idea of, okay, when this parking committee does, because he's not on that committee, come to us and propose something, what are some of the other towns doing? There is there definitely was some concern, and then I agree with this part, what Tony's concern is we really need to jump into the metering right away, and I think the parking committee we all met and said, you know what, we get it, we'll back off a little bit and see where this goes, and I feel strongly we need to wait to see what happens. So I just wanna reassure you, the plan isn't changing as far, there's nothing dramatic happening, but Tony was just making a comment like, hey, I'm talking to other municipalities and I'm educating myself, so I know it's.
Well, if that's the case, then why don't we authorize the chief to buy parking software? So we can actually do the whole database and get the stickers done.
So let's not go down that road yet. Here's the thing. So can I just say
Yeah.
this to you? You know what? It may be that it would look like, maybe it is that we start with Spring Street and
That's
say.
what I was gonna suggest.
So, and it's not all throughout the community, because I'm not even sure that actually is necessary.
We'll have that conversation.
Because if you're on the other side, does it really make sense? So my point of it is that there are ways to make sure that we're listening and replying to what your needs are, and to your community's needs. And so maybe it's community by community and not necessarily everything. So what I am doing, I just want to be clear what I'm doing, because I'm not taking anything away from parking or anything like that. What I am doing is I want to make sure that we hear best practices. We understand what's coming down if something's implemented. We know how to react, because I'm not convinced that everybody knows that, right? And it's just putting in and saying this, and this. But for your specific need, we could probably do the same thing that we did to another community not that long ago. That would.
Talking about that West Street.
Yes,
And
that would make sense.
and all of each side of town also is a community that has special restrictions because of the parking at the high school. We can do that, we definitely
Please
can
do it before this thing opens.
Yeah.
Agreed,
Can I just? interrupt
agreed,
you guys
and
real
I'm
quick?
looking for up down votes in public. And at a certain point where we can have, we don't want to get stuck with analysis paralysis. One of the things I heard tonight is that we've hired a new full-time secretary for the police department, and I thought one of your roles was to manage that parking system that the mayor just brought up. Now I'm questioning why we hired a full-time.
Well, I mean, the
Secretary,
chief
they're not gonna be
represented to
doing
the
that.
council that regardless of whether we do residential only parking because of the management of the high school and now West Street, that he needs a computerized software, because right now they're doing it with paper. And it's not efficient,
So this
so
new person was supposed to be.
handling, right, handling that,
doing the park.
right, you're still doing the
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah,
permit
can
because it's not
we
computerized.
announce that officially? If you have to still do a parking permit, if it says on your street, you need a parking permit, you need a parking permit. There was somebody that approached me and said, oh, somebody told me at town hall we don't need them anymore. That is not true. If you live in a permitted area, you need to get a
They
parking
went to the
permit.
wrong town.
Maybe we need to just put that.
Perhaps. I was told, when I know everybody that lives on my block, they know their cars. People are coming on our block all the time, subs. If I see it, I question them. Do you work here? If you do, you have to move. And if you don't move, I'm calling the police. I was told by somebody that as long as you're a resident in Flemington, you can park anywhere, and especially on Spring Street. And I'm like, okay,
I have a sticker on my car.
Yeah.
I sold the sticker on my car.
So
you're
the west side of Main Street does not have stickers.
Right.
Only the east side of Main Street
I'm-
has stickers.
I'm sorry, but it's just.
So it's
a-
okay, you shouldn't
Yeah,
be sorry, but I'm again asking the council, the chief needs this software to handle the high school parking.
So let's talk about that in another session. I just want to answer your thing right now.
I have one more question, and it was about the comment about commercial vehicles being parked on the street by residents.
By residents?
Yes.
Yes, so is that not allowed?
My understanding is commercial vehicles are not supposed to be, depending on what class it is. Okay,
they have a sticker.
they need a sticker, and I'm gonna tell you what, when I see 1, 2, 3. One of them's obviously an advertisement. 5 cars parked in one lot at night, the backyard, plus 3 additional, like, they're called transportation vehicles. That's the biggest, I know you've seen that one, I know you've.
Oh,
seen
sure.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
talking box trucks,
Yeah.
white box trucks.
Yeah, box parks are not supposed to be, and if they are, and I'm gonna tell you what, and I've said this.
And it's a
We should have-
resident on my street, and I don't wanna cause problems, but it's 2 big spaces that he takes up on Spring Street.
Is it
So,
kind
box
of
park.
business, is it business truck?
So,
I see him drive
Yeah.
it to work every day, and then he leaves the other one.
so it's the box trucks, the business trucks, school buses. School buses being parked. If you ask the chief of police, they don't have necessarily, hey, you can't do this. I've got another year and a half on this council, I wanna see certain things that are blocked from being parked on our streets and in our backyards.
Mhm.
If it goes beep, 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 when you back it up,
We
it should,
be
this is
every day.
not an industrial area, this is a 1.17 square mile tiny borough. And nobody should have to live with beep, 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 beep 5, 6 times a day, because.
Can you
someone's
hear
gotta
it on Broad Street when they're doing it on Spring at
Yeah.
6:30 in the
Oh,
morning?
oh, yes, absolutely. So, make calls tonight, you're not one of the folks, but I'll be by on Wednesday probably.
I'm not, I won't be, well, unless it's in the evening,
Yeah, I'm in the evening,
okay.
I'll stop by.
Thank
I'll bring
you.
my I'll be
Thank
like-
you.
Anything else from the public? I really need to start restricting this to 3 minutes, because it's already 30 minutes, we on to the agenda.
I have elections tomorrow.
If there's nobody online, okay, moving on to the agenda. Approval of minutes, regular meeting, May 12, 2025, during the motion, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Executive session, May 12, 2025, during the motion, please.
Liberal move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Resolution 2025-85.
Oh, wait.
Fireworks on July
Oh,
3rd.
hold on, we already did that one, I didn't realize, we did it like in
Go
April.
for the fireworks.
That one,
Yeah.
yeah,
we did.
yeah, we did,
All right.
I was like, oh crap. On twice.
Okay, removed. I don't have to do anything formal. Resolution 2025-86, resolution approving a refund $472 for the cancellation of the full installation project for block 32-2. Resolution 2025-87, resolution to renew the Borough of Flemington liquor license for the 2025-2026 license term. Resolution 2025-88, resolution approving a refund for the redemption of stock sales for block 11-4. Resolution 2025-89, authorizing the completion and submission of the 2025 participation form for the Highland Area Energy Cooperative Energy Aggregation Program. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda or separate vote?
Item number 3, I had a question on.
The
I'm sorry, 2025-87.
Okay. Just a question.
Yeah, it's up to you if you wanna take it.
What's the license?
2025-87, the liquor license.
Well, we'll hold it for questions.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the other resolutions on the consent agenda?
Sorry, move.
Second?
Roll call please.
Sure, Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pizarro?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council Vice President Long?
Yes.
And Council President Parker.
Resolution 2025-87. Is that the hard?
I just had a quick question. I believe it was around this time last year, we had to do the same thing. We do this every year, right? Last year at this time, we went through what we were renewing. And there was the issue of the former TGI Fridays / QC Crab,
Mhm.
people that still are been holding on to that license
Yes.
like this.
And
You know,
they're not on here.
they are, I mean, that's what we sent the letter, if I
Yes.
recall
No,
last year
but-
saying, you know,
Just send a letter.
get or get off the pot.
Yes.
Um,
So
I can say that, right? There we go.
You did.
I did.
So I sent a letter,
Thank you.
stating he had to pay us our fee and then the state their fee.
Mhm.
I got our fee. They have not paid the state, so I'm not putting them on the resolution.
Okay, so what's the next step?
So
From there.
I'm gonna let Attorney Corsini address the current new state law
Good luck with that.
and the fact that it really gives us no teeth.
It puts these dates out years. I mean, it's a complicated formula. There's a memo that circulated about 11 months ago. That if you wanna try to read it, but it puts out the recovery dates of these licenses until the late 2020s. So there's really nothing you can, and if they pay their fee to the state, they get a license, right?
Yeah, but they haven't paid the state fee.
Yeah, like I said, they pay their fee, they get the only problem that Carla's having now is not the new legislation, it's that they haven't paid their state fee, which they eventually
If they
will.
don't pay their state fee though, then it gets returned to the borough, right?
No,
Where does it go?
Goes away, right?
oh, I don't know yet with that new
And
law.
that with the.
They'll have a grace period,
Yeah.
they'll pay.
They have an interim where they can pay the $75.
I was
right
looking forward to this 12 months ago, like I was literally.
Well,
looking
right
forward to
now,
this
it's
Line item 12 months ago,
Supposedly he sold it to be a car wash, so he's holding that liquor license.
which means he's still holding it hostage.
Right, and I invited him to a meeting, but he's not here.
This owner's been holding this hostage since the last administration, and like I said, I remember this from a year ago, and I've been looking forward to this for a year.
I was gonna email him and say, you have to pay the state too, before you get approved,
Yeah,
but
but then it'll be approved. The thing is, I can get you the memo and you can try to deconstruct it, it's very complicated. It originally started out with good intentions to the fact that I sold a liquor license in another town that was sold at a deflated rate. Because they thought that all these liquor licenses were gonna hit the market all at once. The lobbyists got a hold of the legislation, now we're going back 2 years, of course, they always do. And the dates that these liquor licenses are to become available, even if they've been common for decades, is still many years away. We have one, I think it's 2029, you guys. There's a memo, I'll be happy to circulate it.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
so I have a guy in my firm now who I just put on the code because these issues are coming up and the law was not well drafted, but there's no, what you care about, Councilwoman, is there's no short-term relief.
So so what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing, there really isn't any set repercussions right now for us, or if they're not coming forward with.
He's gonna
Maybe
be,
there's two, one is the state, right?
Yeah,
And
but
then the other
if
is
you
us.
don't pay the state, will the state take it over?
they're
Since they
gonna pay the
didn't
state.
get there,
They'll pay the state, they probably already paid the state, we just haven't heard yet. You'll get it
I
through the
get an
system,
email,
right? You'll
yeah,
get it
and I
through
haven't,
or whatever it is.
posse.
Yeah, but I promise you, that liquor license is worth $1 million, they're gonna pay their $500 fee to the state. I don't know,
200
doing whatever it is, the dollars are going, it's all betted.
to the state, yeah.
Yeah, the state will not take back the license,
Right,
they
the
will,
bottom line is there's nothing we can do.
not yet,
Oh, yeah.
check back in a few years.
Were we gonna have, maybe have a little come to Jesus meeting with them at least?
We
Like,
tried.
Tried.
We
I
tried.
had told them to come to a meeting.
Try.
I
and
do
talk to us.
remember this, I'm so
Yeah. Tried twice. Tried to ask
It was like 3 weeks ago, and he said, oh, I'm going to Florida, so.
Last year we sent him a letter and
Maybe he's in Florida.
The Murphy administration did correctly identify a problem here, but by the time it got to the meat grinder that can be legislation, it
Yeah.
will offer relief before any of us are here for when that relief happens. The idea is that as these states that are in the far future bear down, it will require these guys who have sunk money in these licenses to take action with them, while not putting them under the gun of what the original legislation was, which would have made them available last year, this year, next year.
Has he sold the property yet?
no,
I don't know if.
But eventually he had to go through planning board to
Yeah.
get his approvals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we should remind them then.
So they haven't gotten through,
Yeah.
They haven't gotten through the engineer yet to even get a planning board date, so.
Yeah.
Um.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for
You're
the
welcome.
questions answered.
Can I have a motion for resolution 2025-87?
Sorry.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
The introduction of ordinance 25-18 and ordinance amending section 16 special events. Chapter 3 police regulations to clarify fee assessments for certain events. Can I have a motion to introduce, please? There's second,
Parker second.
roll call, please.
Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Public hearings is set for June 23rd, 2025. We have 3 public hearings, ordinance 2025-13 and ordinance amending chapter 16 design standards. Section 1632 landscape standards subsection A.11 tree replacement alternatives of the Borough Code to amend the tree contribution fee. Can I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
Level move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The hearing is now open to the public. Anybody wishing to comment on ordinance 2025-13, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Level move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-13.
Level move.
Is there a second?
Sorrel second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-16, an ordinance amending chapter 29, section 2 of the code entitled prohibited conduct. Can I have a motion to open to public?
Level move.
Is there a second?
Sorrel second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open to the public. Anybody wishing to comment on 2025-16, please come to the microphone. Give your name and address for the record.
This is for feet not feeding the deer, correct? Okay.
Seeing none, can I have a motion to close?
Level move.
Is there a second?
Sorrel second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025? Is
Level move.
there a second?
Sorrel second.
Any discussion?
Question. Regarding this new ordinance, when does this take effect?
When it's adopted and put in the paper,
Okay.
last sentence. Your neighbor already called me.
Yes, indeed.
That's all I gotta say.
So my question is, how are we going to alert people to this?
We'll get it in the newsletter, which hopefully will come out later this month.
Okay.
And we can also put something on the front of the webpage.
And we can amplify it on Facebook.
Yeah. Ways well. Okay,
Oh, thanks.
okay. Roll call please.
Yeah, Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Ordinance 2025-17, an ordinance amending 7-day traffic schedules to authorize a handicap parking spot for 41 Spring Street. Can I have a motion to open to the public?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Note the ordinance is now open to the public. Who doesn't want a senior citizen getting to the parking spot? Anybody wishing to this kind of topic, please come to my approach, your name and address. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close?
Engelhardt will move.
Is there a second?
Sorrel second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-17?
Engelhardt will move. Sorry, I'll second, whatever.
Okay.
Now she did come in with the placard today.
Oh, good.
Good.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Regular agenda resolution 2025-90, resolution appointing risk manager consultant 2025 fund year. Do I have a motion to approve?
Well, move.
A second,
Engelhardt will second.
roll call, please.
Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-91, rejecting all bids for the Borough Hall Sanitary Sewer Main Improvement Project pursuant to NJSA 48:11-13 2A. Can I have a motion, please? I'll move. Is there a second?
Parker second.
Any discussion?
Can I ask why?
This came into.
Too high.
We're about to over.
Yeah, like way over the estimate.
Way too high.
So they're gonna put it out again, I assume in 30 days. Any other questions, discussion?
Is that the cause of the delay from June to October?
This,
Wrong location, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call please.
Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes,
Councilwoman Fasaro,
yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-92 recognizing the month of June 2025 as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, and asexual LGBTQIA Pride Month in the Borough of Flemington. Can I have a motion, please?
Liberal move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
What did you say?
I said happy Pride Month.
Roll call please.
Or Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes,
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution
I'm sorry, I forgot, we have flown the pride flag on the flagpole. Is that part of this resolution or no?
It's in
It's in the
the
paragraph.
paragraph.
It does, okay,
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure, alright,
One of the paragraphs.
I missed it, I apologize.
Okay. Resolution 2025 authorizing a contract with LPI for the Flemington Borough newsletter. I think this one, the company that does this for us needs a resolution so they can go out and get contracts for advertising. Newsletter cost the borough taxpayers absolutely nothing. It all comes down to this volunteer time and Councilman Levitt's in my time and our staff writing, mostly our staff and some council members writing articles. I think that the software is really, really good, that we get to use. I think it's not, I think, I'm speaking with the councilman down again, I think it's.
I mean, it's a matter of whether or not we want a physical copy of the newsletter.
Right, or if it's online.
Yeah.
If you just wanna do it online.
I mean, we do it online with this, there's drawbacks and benefits to it, I suppose, whether or not we have to constrain ourselves to the 12 pages every time, which is fine, we can definitely fit everything in there. It's
But
like,
they,
you know,
but they did give us the software without it,
which software?
What's
all their
It's-
stuff.
It's
Illustrator?
Do we-
no, it's my.
I thought you were-
I don't use it.
publisher.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think anybody's using
Yeah.
that software.
All the stuff that they provide.
I never got that. I never really saw it or engaged with it at all.
Okay.
I just used.
No, you did have it, I sent it to you.
What?
Definitely have it.
Yeah, no tutorial.
You definitely
Yeah,
have it.
tutorial.
No.
Absolutely.
But I went to the-
You just don't use it.
No, I
because
just don't
you
use-
use your own thing, because you can use, it's like Microsoft.
So the question is, I mean, it doesn't cost anything, they sell ads, we get physical copies. County Library told me we could drop hundreds up there if we want to. And
Borough Library said they would hand one out with every single book that they.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think it's worthwhile having it, it's also just, let's make sure we get it out.
So the problem with the newsletter, and I will say this from going through this experience with it, is that. The question is, in terms of how many you actually ordering.
Yeah.
How many is actually left? Because one time I did this thing, well, I'm gonna give you an example, I went through. And I dropped a bunch off at all these places and I went back. And most of them were still there. So the point of it is, and I think the number is something like, is it like 1,000, up to 1,000?
We might get more than that, what was it, 15?
I think
Yeah,
it's
something like that.
they send us 1,500.
And so I had to decrease it from 1,500 and I had them decrease it to 900, then I had them decrease it to 500. But the bottom line is it just wasn't moving. So my question is, if somebody said to me, this is great, but why isn't it just online? So the question is, do we know how many hits we're getting online?
I'm looking at it like this second, I can tell you exactly.
Because that might tell the story.
Well, I'm thinking like, how many cap residences, do they have like a common room there where they could be left? Because I
They do, and we didn't drop any off there,
I cannot.
I actually think that would be a good idea,
and that's, yeah,
how many cap
that's almost
residents?
100.
Oh, you mean right here on the corner?
Yeah, because if you talk to those folks, I walked my dog down there too, they're not always like online, they know who we are,
Right.
trust me, they know.
Well, and the library
Very
wants them, and
engaged
the
with the
county
park.
library wants them, and Mark Bruce told me they wanted them, and there's a lot of places that want them.
I
Certain
think if
spots
we
have
drop
moved
some off at
very
Urban
well.
to eat cat, we'd go back 3 days later, they'd be all gone.
That's good, all I'm,
Certain
Not
certain
doing
spots,
any of
it moved very well, like, Tony's coffee shop. They were,
so.
those disappeared very quickly, and people wanted to.
Little something.
So I'm always being sensitive to the fact how much are we actually throwing out, so is the number actually 1,500 or is the number more like 800, or is the more?
What, that we can actually put out there?
That we should, not that we actually are, because if we're throwing a lot of it away, that's a lot of paper that we're
No,
throwing
no,
away.
no.
Well, I wanna track,
And I just.
I do wanna track them in each location to see what's happening with them,
That's-
and I am happy to take responsibility for that, so. To make sure that we work well, but I do support renewing the contract and continuing.
There's little drawback to it.
No, that's
We might
fine.
as well.
Okay, all right, can I have a motion, please?
I'd love to move.
Is there a second?
One second.
What number are we on?
We are
Oh,
on
God.
number 13 under regular agenda,
11 went first,
yes,
and then him?
Long.
Okay.
Roll
Minori,
call, please.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ballhart,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt.
Yeah.
Council Vice President Long.
Yes.
And Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-94, resolution approving the hiring of Shane Blondis as the elevator inspector for 2025.
Over.
That was just a shit show, that one.
Sorry,
My second time is where is it?
Sorry, get ready tomorrow.
Get ready, did you get a motion in a second?
No, I know.
There's a motion again.
No, nobody did it. Nobody did it.
Now, there is a motion in a second. Who made the motion?
I think.
There is the motion for someone made the second. Any discussion?
All righty,
Councilman.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2025-95, authorizing the Director of Public Works to approve a street sidewalk opening permit pursuant to section 10-1.1 of the municipal code of the Borough of Flemington for the installation of a gas line along a portion of Bloomfield Avenue. This was a late addition. You received certification, Carla, at your desk, and the resolution earlier from, I believe, school meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any discussion?
Hold on now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
No discussion, roll call.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
We have a work session, and we're up to public comment number 2. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, please come forward and if you need please keep it down to 3 minutes.
Any minute,
Please keep it.
Will not ask you any questions right now.
Thank you. I feel very welcome. Okay, really quickly, the good news is, we worked out some issues with the sign review committee, and I'm not sure what other variables are making things go very quickly, but we are approving signs within a couple of hours of seeing them, and that is phenomenal. So we've approved, so we've recently opened Eaton Street Pizza and Taco. The food is delicious. He's an incredibly nice guy. He has cleaned every inch of that that storefront with his own hands. He's really nice. Go say hello. Huh?
Yes.
Formerly Jack's Pizza, looking really cute and clean. Where David's Flowers on Mine Street recently opened, I think like 2 weekends ago, and the people in the window are waving at everybody that walked by, but it's a tough kind of location, so I really hope people will go in and buy flowers from him and plants. Deserve signage got approved and they're moving really quickly. Their storefront looks beautiful, I think.
Where's that?
Deserve the former Garden State salad.
Inside, I think they did a really good job on the inside.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's really tasteful.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
It's gonna be great.
He has a good color sense and the food will be tasty too. The Celtic Shop, which is next, it's 169 Main Street, so it's next to the new Tea Berries location is opening. They have a business in New Hope. They sell Highlander kilts and sweaters and yes, and they bought that building, so they're investing in it. Sage and Attachments hasn't had a sign that showed that she had both businesses in one location. So she just got her new sign approved. I will say at the same time, we have a lot of vacancies and some of them are our best buildings, the Grom building. What could we do there? The Victorian Plaza. It's a complicated building, but it's got 78 parking spots and it's in a key location. The Tea Berries, the former Tea Berries building, I mean, the list of buildings that could be something really,
It's 14 areas really surprises me.
these are pivotal.
It's grabbed it.
Pivotal, some of our better spaces. And they've sat and sat and sat. And from some of the people who have buildings on Main Street, you know, like Printech, for example, has had very few inquiries and almost had a vape shop. So, you know, I think whatever we need to do to incent creative uses for these buildings and not let's have another market or a vape shop is something we really have to focus on because that's what we're
That
getting.
kind of goes back to what that woman was saying at the conference, the meeting we're at. So
Main
maybe-
Street
Maybe
America?
bring her in and no.
Oh.
At Chamber of Commerce,
Oh, yeah,
maybe bring
the
her in and have a
realtor,
discussion.
yes. Yes, we're having a lot of community meetings. We, the business community, are having a lot of community meetings. And we've had our second meeting with Stangl business owners that was awesome, and the chief did come and he did a fabulous job of explaining some things that were confusing to business owners. We are talking about trash on Stangl Road because with the increased number of businesses and the increased activity, we have garbage problems we didn't really have before. And we're working on a survey to understand, do the businesses have what they need to remove the trash? Because the DPW is not contracted to remove commercial business trash. And, you know, sometimes things that weren't a problem a year ago are a problem now. So we have to constantly keep reviewing and revising. The last thing I wanted to say was that we've had some really great events. So event season is back, we're in it. We had a fabulous Main Street tent sale. It was the best ever. We had greater participation than we've ever had before. We had a really wonderful sip and stroll that saw a lot of activity. We had a summer book festival that had at least 3,500 people, and I don't know how Michael counts, but he counted them all, and that was great. And then we just had a Stangl Karma Festival that was so much better than the first one. And you know, Jen from Wildflower Yoga created a map that had cute little individual icons for every single business on the street. You know, she happens to have the talent to do that, but we really are seeing people do their best work and really working together. So whatever we've done, and we received pressure from the council and from neighbors to communicate better and work together. And you know, working together, we really are winning at some of the things we've had troubles with before. Have a lot of questions from people about trees and on Main Street. A lot of questions and tree wells, and I think in the business area, you know, who's responsible? How do we get things fixed? What's the status of some of the tree wells that were installed in the past that are now not together anymore? They're Not being maintained. they're broken. They've been run over by things. And they're just, yeah.
Show.
But we've removed the kiosk, we've removed broken chairs, we are cleaning up. So that we can get a good look at how to make Main Street look like a cleaner corridor, you know, and more visually pleasing. But I think that, you know, the more questions we get about who do I call for this and whose responsibility is it? Makes me think that we need more of a town hall approach to everybody understanding. Whose responsibility is it? Who do you call? How do we work together? And as this realtor pointed out, there's a lot of misinformation being given to potential tenants who wind up in your office with, you know, having rented a space, but not having a lot of information about what permits they need and how they go about the process. So we're going back to dot our i's and cross our t's and work with everybody on doing a better job.
Two questions, Robin.
Sure.
Since you started with signs, what's the status of getting the signs back?
I told Tony that we would like to come to the next meeting,
Okay,
which is
23rd.
Yes, and we will show you everything. We have
You close?
we're really close.
Okay,
Yes, like, I think we will send you something to look at before that meeting, cause it's 30 signs. So, but we should be able to show you what each one looks like, where it is on the map, what it says. There's still
It looks good.
refinement, yeah,
No,
Quick
it looks
question,
good.
are
sure.
they going back to the same place that they were? So I know we have like poles.
Are you asking for a friend?
I'm asking because, yeah, I have this like really
I
ugly
know.
pole on land that we actually have to pay for.
So we were told that it costs $1,500 to remove a post, which is expensive. So I did spend 2 hours in the back of a police car driving around looking at all the signs with the police for safety questions, and we did identify a few that really feel like an ADA violation and a just awkward placing. So we have a list of signs that we would recommend removing, and we're open to your opinions on that.
so do the signs include directing people towards our parking lots?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So we actually found a more elegant, you weren't supposed to ask me any questions.
I have one more after this.
Because I went to Ardmore, Pennsylvania, they have the exact same metal signs, a lot of towns do. And what they have is a separate parking circle with a P that's separate from the giant metal sign that has arrows top, right, bottom, and they have them actually like on 3 blocks leading up to a parking lot. So we decided that it would make more sense, since parking is fluid, to separate the parking information from the big sign, which means that we would have to invest in smaller.
So the answer is they're not part of the current program.
We think
But
that
we're going
it's-
to be looking at it.
Yes,
Soon.
we think it's more advantageous to add parking separately from the
That's
big.
very
field
fair,
sign.
as long as it's
Yeah.
gonna get addressed, we can get.
Can
people
address
on.
it quickly.
And then my last question is, so signs,
Yes,
where are we with getting a banner system? Yeah, I can't remember where, so that's with you and my
I
campaign
think that
to
is,
recommend one. to the
yeah,
No, hold on, I can answer that question.
okay,
Because I did talk to you about this, and I showed you. We're down at the League of Municipalities, because we cannot do a banner going across like that, because there's no structure to hold it, and nor does anybody recommend that anymore, because it becomes dangerous and it's very, very labor intensive. And so then it became between this DPW do it, we get the fire, and so there is a system that we can get, and we talked about this, and yep, I know, and so.
You said
And so
fine, didn't you?
I sent it to everybody, so the bottom line is that it cranks. It cranks and
it's the
so
one
it's,
that we.
so it's
that
like
we saw.
this as opposed to going
Mhm.
like this. And I think if you go, like, I know there's a couple of places in New Jersey that has them.
Raritan, of course.
Mm-hmm.
No, Raritan,
Borough.
yeah.
Outside Somerville.
Yeah, I'm
We're
not
the other
sure, I'm not
Italian
sure
bakery
that's
is.
the one, but it's like that.
It's-
I'm not sure that's the one, but it's like that. Yes, it's the same principle. Yes, exactly. And I think Morristown has it, and I think it's, I can't remember the name of the town. There's another town that's way up north that has it, that's pretty successful. So, I mean, we can get those people in there and just talk about it again.
And then really quickly, the canceling the corn tomato and beer festival, not canceling, but postponing it by to October is the plan. It's October 4th, and then we would have the rain date if approved 2 weeks later. I did meet with the police on Main Street to look at where we will put the Central Jersey Jazz Festival and looked at a bunch of different options and around the courthouse, but with a larger stage, and it's really exciting.
That'd be nice.
Yes, it's really exciting to plan a real quality, large scale festival on Main Street again.
Is that, the road gonna be back open and parking available back there by October, or is that going now?
Oh, no, we were told that it should just be a month of this complicated construction. And I don't believe the road is closed, but we bring 200 vehicles in, some of them are trailing a sauna on, like a hot tub on the back of their car, and it's really hard to get 200 vehicles in a
Yeah.
quick amount of time
But-
and out.
Parks, because we've always been able to
The parking,
enjoy.
there will be
There will
less
definitely be
parking.
back there.
gonna be less
The
parking.
platform one parking lot has been enjoying to be available to us, but the parking lot, the original Liberty Village parking lot will be state construction staging for a while. The parking issue is complicated, but it doesn't scare me for events because we have other parking lots that are not.
Point, there is somebody
The
else
tran-
that owns
tran-
that owns that other side of that property, and my understanding.
Del Val.
Right, and he's working with him to make sure he gets the insurance and hold it, so there can be parking on there, and I think that opens up another 220, I can't
It
remember how many
does.
spaces, okay, yeah. So
That's the former the parking lot that's adjacent to platform one. And then there are the Transbridge lots. So the Transbridge lot, the wooded lot, people refer to it, directly behind the Liberty Village parking will be for construction. And the farther one back that people, where the buses do go, it will still be parking.
Just an aside, the name of that company is Breeze, BREEZ.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Mawa, New Jersey, that you were thinking of, Tony.
Thank
That-
you.
That I just put
Thank
up
you.
last
Yep,
year.
yep.
That's the vendor that we saw down at the beef.
Quick suggestion for Sales Fest. If it's gonna be on Main, work with some of the restaurants to stay open, so there's more food vendors than there have been that back out there. I know it sounds silly, but I remember when we first moved here and going down. And they were all like, you go to Jonah's restaurant, which is now 55 Main, and they have sandwiches, they did have a few food trucks, but. We have enough restaurants and then, now let's make sure our restaurants know when.
I'm
Small plates or something like that.
We have a lot of new owners. I mean, Mr. Hops and Teaser.
Service, all
That's
of it.
perfect, yeah.
All of it.
There's really and having Viva Mexico on Main Street, there's really like an enthusiasm and a passion to be open. We do still have some businesses and that are not open when people are on the street, but hopefully we'll.
That's a special night.
Hopefully you can help us convince
Well,
them.
I mean, there is
be
one restaurateur that's just does not want to be open because they don't think it's their crowd, so to speak.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
had this conversation, so
But we're
the
definitely.
majority of the people are gonna open.
We're definitely
some
moving it
businesses
to
are.
Main Street. We're making all the plans. And we will use the courthouse steps for activities, but we will also bring in the hydraulic stage that we borrow from another
Did
county.
you have a date?
It's September 13th.
Okay.
And we have no rain date because it's really rain or shine.
Because WPTO is never not.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Hey,
thank
Robin,
you,
I have one more question. I
Okay.
just thought.
okay,
These trees.
yeah.
Have you heard other trees go missing or anything happen to other trees? Cause I've been investigating one in front of 110 Main Street that just disappeared the other day.
Mhm.
Nobody in our construction office or anybody else seems to know, the business owners don't know, the property owner doesn't know, it just vanished someday.
Mhm. It's very bizarre.
You heard about this?
I've heard about
Yeah.
it.
Where's?
Yeah,
In
Mr.
front of Mr. Pop.
Yeah, in front of Mr. Bond.
That's the ones.
Mhm.
It's just gone. It just disappeared and nobody seems to know what happened to it, so.
I
Anybody hears
didn't, I didn't touch it.
This hasn't happened elsewhere down Main Street.
No,
Okay. It
no,
was
but
just
we
a-
do have trees that are sickly and that have
I will tell you,
infestations and things that are not. And these are the trees that came, it's the trees that came with the Main Street construction project. That were smaller and kind of, I think we made some different choices than. To have trees that wouldn't have the problems of the past trees, which were that they grew wildly. And they were wildly overgrown and they needed a lot of maintenance that we couldn't provide. So these were smaller trees, but most of them are not, a lot of them are not viable right now, and it's not clear. You can talk to Mike or so would you,
I could talk to him.
yeah.
sure, any of us can.
Yeah, there's some language in the Main Street Streetscape program that says how long it takes for things to be maintained and before you can touch things, it's kind of complicated.
But who's actually watching over that?
Who's what?
Who's actually watching over that? Who does that fall under?
It was a streetscape construction project with the state.
The maintenance of it.
I think there's a period of time where you don't do maintenance, but I would ask Mike, cause he understands it.
Yeah, I've seen some.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
Thanks, okay. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none, Can I, pay the bill authorizing payment of bill in the amount of $688,032.51. Is there a motion, please?
That'll move.
Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Councilman Aries,
Yes.
Councilwoman Makeover,
Yes.
Councilman Pissarro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wong,
Yes.
and Council President.
Yes.
There was no executive session tonight, we will have one at the next meeting. We have a motion to adjourn, please.
Long move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Sorry, Carla, good luck tomorrow.